start the.
Okay, now.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Board of Trustees work session. Our mayor is unavoidably detained due to illness in the family. And our deputy mayor is on his way, but is going to be delayed, and we don't know for how long. So we're going to start the meeting for the agendas. So we have the first is to adopt the agenda.
Open the meeting.
I'm sorry, to open the meeting. I apologize. Thank you.
I move to open the meeting.
I second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. So the first item is to adopt the agenda for the work session.
I move that we adopt the agenda for the work session.
I'll second it.
Victor, are you seconding it?
Second, yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the next is the next item is the proposed wetlands law amendments. Have we heard from the Harbor Commission at this point?
No,
We have not.
Okay. Could we ask them, do they meet? They normally meet before us, correct?
they met last week.
Technically, it's either, you meet twice, they meet once, so
Okay.
they meet before. and
So-
after
so-
from a certain perspective.
Ask them if we can have their input at their earliest possible convenience.
Okay.
The next item is free parking permits. This has been on the agenda for some time. Dan, you want to give us an update as to what's happening here?
Sure. Derek can chime in, but this wasn't, at the last regular meeting, the board asked this to be brought back to work session. We are preparing the parameters of kind of a standard agreement for the various organizations that we have provided free permits to in the past, denoting the service that they will provide to us, which we hope will be use of their facilities at no charge. But I don't want to talk too much about how we negotiate that, but we are working on that agreement right now.
Do we have any idea how many spaces we're talking about at this point?
I recall that in the earliest memo, I think we may have provided a number to you of the number of permits. The number of spaces really is kind of it's not an appropriate way to look at this because it's a lot of part-time employees, so they're not going to all be at Hunter parking deck at the same time. But I don't want to put Sally on the spot, but Sally, do you recall the number of permits?
It's like 35, something like that.
35.
Okay,
I have a number I can send to everyone. I did do a count.
If you can, and so we have it for further consideration.
Sure.
Will this be ready for the next meeting, or do we put this off to the second meeting in November?
I don't have an answer to that. I can follow up with the attorney's office tomorrow to see where we stand with that.
And
Are these agreements that have to be signed by everybody
They
beforehand?
need to be approved by the village board, and it would be signed, you would authorize the village manager to sign.
and just
Typically, what we do, trustee Natchez, is ask the person we're contracting with to sign the agreement. And then we put it before the board for approval, for authorization, generally for the village manager to sign.
Okay, so do you have any idea when we would be able to, should this be on for the first meeting in November or the second meeting in November, Bob?
That depends on the negotiations. My understanding is that the agreements are drafted. It's just a question of filling in the details and getting them signed. So I'd leave up.
Okay, then let's put it on for the
village manager or
for
the
our next
assistant
meeting.
village manager on that.
And just a note, the agenda says it's on for July 25th.
Yeah, that was an error on my part. I just copied it from
Yeah, I know.
the link and I thought I had updated it.
We all do that.
The next item is the consistency review for the maintenance dredging.
We received the communication from the Department of State. As you know, we're applying for, I apologize for that. We submitted our application to the Army Corps of Engineers. By law, it requires a consistency determination from the New York State Department of State. They've asked us for comments on the application. We met, myself, the village manager, met with Ashley from AKRF. She's working on a response and commentary on the application, which we anticipate having in advance of the next board meeting, which is November 14th.
Did the Harbor and Coastal Zone Management Commission discuss this at their last meeting?
I don't know if they had a chance to discuss it yet. I don't know what I can't recall if they actually had a meeting, so I can follow up.
I think they did discuss it on Wednesday and they asked for more information.
Well, I'll follow up with the planning department.
Okay, it would be helpful because if they're asking for more information, it might be wise if we can take care of that before it gets back to the board.
Just remember that I believe there's a 30-day limit to respond to the Department of State.
In
I think the 14th would be the last opportunity, last regular meeting that the board has before that 30 days expires.
So, well, we need to make sure that HCCM knows that, because if they have to do,
Well,
They have to have an
they
extra
received
meeting.
the same correspondence, so the 30-day time, they should be aware of the 30-day time frame because it's
but they asked for more information, so we should follow up.
okay.
Also, there was a email sent today to the Board of Trustees, and I thought to staff as well, regarding the procedure. Have you had a chance to review that? Bob, have you seen that?
I have not seen it, Trustee Natchez.
Sorry?
I have not seen it, no.
I don't recall seeing that email either.
It didn't go to you, it went to the Board of Trustees and HCCM. I'll forward it now.
Okay, Bob, I'd appreciate your looking at it and opining on it one way or the other.
Okay.
Dan, just a quick question so that everybody understands. According to the documents that have been provided to us for the dredging, which is important to do, and I don't think anybody's is concerned about not doing it. But the question is, it says that the dredging is going to be done. It doesn't specify how. Is it going to be clamshell or hydraulic or a combination of the two, or do we know?
I can get the answer on that.
I'm sorry.
I can get the answer on that.
Okay, and also it says that the dredging is going, the materials are going to be put on the side of the water of the rivers.
Bait casting?
Side casting means you're going to do it in the water. I don't, is that the question, is that what the intent is, to side cast in the water? I thought it said that it was going to be put up on the shore next to the river.
Yeah, I can follow up. and get the
Okay.
answers.
Because there are a lot of areas that don't have areas of access that are marked for dredging.
I mean, if there's specific questions, maybe if you could, get them to me, we can address them.
I'm not concerned about it. I just, when I read it, I looked at the narrative and then I looked at the maps that were given as part of it. The only thing that struck me is in Beaver Swamp Brook, which when it crosses the post road becomes Guyan Creek, is listed as Beaver Swamp Brook. And Guyan Creek has very limited access, shore access for equipment, and lots of Spartina grass and Spartina padens. So the question is, how are you going to move the material? That's because I'm sure at some point in time, one of the agencies is going to ask the question. It should be addressed, and if AKRF is looking at their comments, which aren't in the packet, that's something they may want to look at, so that we can expedite getting this done. Anybody, any other questions? Nora,
No,
Victor? Okay, next item is,
Ida, supplemental appropriation. For Ida.
okay, Dan, you're on.
We're,
You're here?
Yeah, Jerry's there.
I'm sorry, I didn't,
But we're pretty much finished, almost finished with Ida. I mean, except for, the final piece of Tompkins Avenue Bridge. This is really for what's left at Volunteers Firehouse. And we think there's about $212,000 of bills remaining for the firehouse. So that's why it was kind of a specific request for $212,000.
and I'm sorry. Lori, you had a
$212,000 for
question?
equipment, $112,000 for contractual services.
So are these things we're gonna be put into the reimbursement request for, or is it too late for that?
No, we will put this in the reimbursement request.
Okay.
The only thing that was time limited is identifying the projects.
Okay,
for
but
which
not
we
the
were
actual,
gonna
okay.
seek reimbursement, not the incurment of expenses.
And so we're likely to get 90% back, and maybe the state will make us whole.
That's correct.
There's another email we got yesterday, I think it was yesterday, about Governor Hochul's initiatives for reimbursement. Did you get that? It may not have gone to you.
I did not see that, but is that about Hurricane Ida reimbursement, or is that for?
It was like more flooding in general after Ida, and there were 2 periods where we could apply for flood mitigation grants. I know there's,
That's about the, is that about the BRIC and FMA grants?
but the deadlines were passed, so it's not what's coming up. It's not
Okay.
what Jerry outlined on at the 1 year after the Ida meeting. It's for deadlines that have passed, and I was wondering whether they were separate from the FEMA appropriations or from our FEMA reimbursement, or whether that was a part and parcel of.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but if you send me the email, I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
I think they would be. I know that there are annual programs that the state comes out with for hazard mitigation grant programs. And we've applied for that in the past. And, we've gotten several grants through that program, which is part and parcel of having our hazard mitigation plan.
Okay, I'm gonna forward that too, because I don't know whether that's different.
Okay, I said the one I was thinking of was called BRIC or FMA. BRIC is Building Resilient Infrastructure Communities. FMA is Flood Mitigation Action. We currently have a BRIC grant from last year, actually from 2 years ago, but we only executed the contract earlier this year.
This was, you know what this was? This was the non-federal share of FEMA. So
Oh,
I think
okay.
what this means is for when we apply for FEMA and it's 90%, this allows us to get whole.
Yes, so if that's the case, it must have been several months ago that Jerry and I were in one of our update progress meetings with FEMA about our various applications, and someone from the state did mention that we were going to be made whole. The state was going to get taken that 10%, but until I had seen an official announcement, I wasn't going to make that proclamation publicly because.
So these were deadlines from October of 2021 and May of 2022. So I assume we had to apply for them in conjunction with the FEMA
So I think
grants.
October 2021 may line up with when we had to submit all of our projects that we were seeking reimbursement for. But again, I'll take a look at the email.
I just didn't think it was a separate program. I think it was Ida, Fred, and IESIS, and I think it's just the grant having to do with what we'd apply for FEMA. It's not separate grant. It's not separate funding. That was that's
I'll
my
take a look at it.
inarticulate question.
I think I should be able to diagnose the email pretty
Okay,
easily.
I sent it. Thanks.
so the amount is $26,146.
No, that's for the Hurricane Ida related repair and recovery. That's, I think it was 212,000. It's $100,000 for equipment and 112,000 for contractual service, and the 26,000 may be related to the next item, which is.
I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. So does anybody have a problem putting this on for tonight?
Really? So about the idea or both?
Ida,
Okay.
Which is the 26,000.
Okay, so the next item, which you mentioned with 26,000. We had to effectuate a repair to a storm sewer on Orienta Avenue and Skibo Lane. And we got a price for that. It was a daily rate. I think it took 3 days to fix between mobilization, fixing it, and demobilization. And there were some ancillary costs for equipment. Right.
and this was a very quick turnaround. It was discovered like July 22nd, and the proposal was August 1st, and it
Yeah.
was billed out by the end of August. We have a lot of these on the agenda tonight. And I mean, obviously, when something's an emergency, it's an emergency. Is there any way that we can do kind of line up contractors who can work in the case of an emergency?
Yeah,
I mean, like, so that like, maybe we would get a better deal, because I know when, when things are done on an emergency basis, you're sort of at the mercy of the contractor being available and willing to change their schedule and drop everything to do this. But is there a way we can negotiate, and it may be completely unrealistic, negotiate relationships that might give us a discount on emergency work?
I mean, we can look into that. I know that some of our contracts, we do have emergency work provisions in there. For instance, with the tree removal and branch removal contract.
Mhm.
There's a provision for emergency work in there. I think we've looked at, doing some other contracts in the past, and we tried to include emergency provisions. But this would just be a standard
Mhm.
emergency work contract. We'd have to take a look at it. You might actually need multiple vendors based on the ability to get something done in
Yeah.
a timely fashion.
Yeah.
So I have to review that.
I just think we have 3 of them on now.
The question for you and Jerry is, does that make sense? Sometimes I've seen the contracts where the amount is not very favorable. And sometimes I've seen them who are favorable. I don't know what the experience has been here in the village for that, trying to do that. I know the Westchester Joint Waterworks has done that, and the rates to me seem pretty high.
I think in general, we know what would typically be a good price and a bad price. We do our best to avoid being put in that situation, being taken advantage of. But I think we again, if we come across that situation, we'll tell the vendor.
Okay, so I assume the things that are on for tonight, you all believe are at a desirable rate.
I believe so.
Thanks.
Welcome, Lou.
Hey, how are you?
I know that you were subject to
Sorry, I'm talking.
a non-desirable approach that had
A
to be
new friend
attended
ran
to.
into me outside the village hall. So.
Literally.
Nice guy.
So I'll turn the meeting over to you if you want.
Well, finish up what you're doing, and then I'll take over.
Okay, well,
Where are we?
we're at D,
2D.
firehouse repair. I have a question on that. Did we ask anybody else to give a price on this?
I can check the backup.
I didn't see it anywhere in the backup whatsoever. The only reason I'm asking it, it appears that this took place at the beginning of September, when it was found out.
Yeah.
And it's now, the middle of October. I'm not suggesting that price is not a good price. I'm just, when we have the time to do that, it seems to be appropriate to do it.
No, I
Yeah,
think it was done, though. I think it's all completed.
Yeah, no, it is complete, and, you know, this is obviously when you have a sewer issue at one of your emergency services facilities, we had to address this on an expedited basis. I mean, it could be that, you know, part of it was, and I can confirm this with Public Works, that they may have said to the contractors, how quickly can you get this done? Because again, a sanitary sewer issue at one of your.
Not questioning that we need
Yeah.
to get it
I
done.
can get the answer on that, but.
Okay, so this has already been completed.
And it
Mhm,
was,
yeah, it's done.
And what also happened was, as they, you know, excavated certain things, they uncovered more and more issues which needed to be repaired. We're talking about a building that's probably, if not 100 years old, close to it.
It is.
And I'm guessing that some of those sanitary sewer laterals are of a certain age. Among everything else in that building.
It looks like
Anybody
it
have a-
happened on the 7th and they got the estimate on the 14th and they did it pretty quickly. We're just getting the,
Does anybody
Yeah.
have a problem with putting this on the agenda for tonight?
no,
No.
Victor? Okay. Lou, you're on E.
E, okay,
Excuse
funding
me,
for.
Deputy Mayor Young, if I may interrupt.
Yes,
Staff that's
Yeah.
on the call, one needs to be promoted. Jason needs to be promoted. Augie, please, from attendee to panelist. And then you were going to consider taking
Oh,
them.
these are you.
being paid.
that's right. We wanted to bring the staff matters up. Jason,
funds.
yes, because we don't. Thank you, Detective. He was a first responder to my accident.
I came looking.
Yeah, we want to take the staff people up front, if that's okay with everyone, so they're not being paid to listen to us talk.
Okay.
That's K and L. And Jeff's here too.
Jason. Here we go. So we've got recreation fees and charges for recreation superintendent, far away.
Just one thing, item G is also Jason is working on.
Oh, okay.
Want to do the fees, please?
Take them how you take them, however it's convenient for you. Take G first.
Okay.
Right.
So this time of year, we always bring our fee schedule to the board so we can adopt it. For the fiscal year 23-24, we need to print promotional materials and things like that. So we got to set our fees this time of year. So we're ready for the spring and the summer. So we bring our fee schedule to the Parks and Recreation Commission for review, which is in front of you. The fee schedule that the Parks and Recreation Commission recommended go to the Board of Trustees.
Which item?
So
Okay.
Okay, so you're starting with K. Sorry, I did. Go ahead.
so in front of you, the memo states the process that we went through. There was two differs on opinion between staff and the Parks and Recreation Commission. The first was on the field rental fee for sports organizations. Staff had recommended a $38 per hour fee, and the Parks and Recreation Commission recommended a $35 fee. The staff recommended the $38 fee so that we would get to a break-even price point on our maintenance and our fees. The PRC thought that was too much of an increase all at once. So they recommended to bring it to 35. So that's a decision that we will leave up to the board. And the other one would be the day camp fees. Staff recommended not to increase the resident day camp fee. The PRC recommended we go up $50 per registration due to the current inflationary trends. We don't know what fuel costs, supplies will cost, etc. Those were the two major concerns of the PRC and the general review of the schedule.
Jason, a question. Last year when we did this, it was a question of what is the full cost to the village for the fees, and we were substantially below, as I recall, between the other fields at the town and enlargement. So the question is, how does that equate at this point?
So we are still below, but we have been gradually increasing year by year. So that way we don't, hit the sports organizations with the fee all at once, because ultimately, if we do that to the sports organizations, they will end up charging the fee to the resident, passing it on to the resident. So we didn't want to try to have a burdensome fee increase all at once. But yes, we are below what surrounding communities are in their.
And how far below are we?
I would say, on average, because it ranges, and it also ranges by quality. You charge more for a better quality field, you charge more for turf, you charge more for a lit field. But on average, like quality we have grass, I'd say we're like $10 to $15 lower than what the average community is. People are charging $45 to $50 an hour for a decent grass soccer field, where this past season, or we're currently charging 30. So right now they're getting billed for 30 per hour.
And you feel that the 38, what was the other fee was?
It was a difference of opinion between staff meeting Parks, Recreation, and the village manager's office, and then the Parks and Recreation Commission. I personally can see both sides of the argument in terms of the fee getting passed on to our residents, especially the youth soccer program, that's like the rec soccer program, because that's mostly our village residents. And so their fee, a resident fee, could go up $15, $20. It depends on what the village wants to go with. But I do think that, bringing it up to 35 is a good start if that's where we want to go. But yes, 38 would most likely be our break-even point. So that way the field maintenance would be offset by what we're charging the sports organizations.
Is the question, what was the other fee that?
What was the other fee? There was
Lou, can we take them one at a time?
The two variances between the village staff recommendations and the PRC recommendations were the field user fee and the day camp fee. As far as the field user fee, we recommended $38 an hour. The PRC is recommending $35 an hour. As far as the day camp fee, the staff didn't propose an increase for the resident rate for the day camp. The PRC recommended a $50 increase in the fee. I think it's going from 1,200 to 1,250, Jason?
Yes, correct, Dan, 1,200 to 1,250.
So a $50 fee, a $55 increase, and a $1,200 fee is slightly less than 5%, maybe 4.5, 4.8%.
It's about 4.5%. And if the board wishes to approve the fee of the Parks and Recreation Commission, that additional $50 would equate to about $14,500 in additional revenue if you wanted to increase that $50 per resident.
So, Jason, I'd like to take one at a time, Lou, if you, because otherwise
sure.
it gets hard to follow.
My instinct is to try to break even on these if we can, just as a matter of form. But if you want to take them one at a time, that's fine with me.
So the question is, how much is it costing us to run the fields?
In previous years we were about 120,000. Since then we've done field maintenance in-house, and this will be our first full season trying to project that out. But we're thinking with field maintenance somewhere between 90,000, 95,000 roughly, all in, and that includes staff time too, not just purchases. That's staff time to do those fields.
Does that also include all the amortization of the equipment that we bought a heck of a lot of equipment to try and do all this?
No, that would not be in that calculation. Obviously, we could, spread that out over time, but it's not in the 1 year calculation, the $80,000 in equipment or whatever that they bought.
No. I think staff of raising the recommendation on the fields, raising it is wise, but I'm not sure we're raising it enough. We're spending a lot of money and we have a lot of overtime that we're incurring, to maintain these, at least what comes before us over the last year. Money well spent. Programs, are superior and need to be done. But I agree with Lou, we're trying to break even. I'm not sure we're breaking even. I think we're, to break even, you got to put all your costs in and figure out what you're doing. And we've spent a lot of money on things. So if you're telling me that the average of the fields is $45 to $50 around, and it's presently how much now? 30 what?
30.
30. So if you went up to, if you went higher, I'd rather go to 45, but that may be a little steep. I would certainly go to 40. And next year, do the balance to try and make it a total break-even basis. All costs included, not just, the salaries, et cetera. I'm talking about putting everything in, including the overtime and the budgets and everything else.
It would seem to me that the staff recommendation is $38 would be reasonable. I understand what you're saying, Dan, but I it's not like we're strapped for money and we need to squeeze this program. So I think if the staff says 38, I think 38 is.
It's not squeezing the program at all. The question is, how do you get to break even? If we're in an inflationary period, costs are going up. You're telling me that I just don't see how you catch up.
Well, I mean, that's an aspiration to break even. So I would think the staff recommendation I would be inclined to go with.
How does everybody else feel?
I mean, are we even going to break even at 38 or 45? That's a different question. And is that why we're running the program? I mean, I think that's, I think the rec program, the rec board really felt that it was too steep a raise, and it was simply going to impact the residents who are typically residents who are not high income. So I think, we're just pushing costs over to other residents. Either people are paying it in taxes or they're paying it directly in fees. And it's, I mean, Jason, you can talk about who it impacts, but I'm not sure it's.
Yeah, I mean, it impacts our low and moderate income areas. I mean,
Right.
that's exactly who it would impact. And there's no secret that the leagues will pass the fee on. I mean, it's just the fact of the matter that they can't, they're not for profits. They're not gonna be able to absorb that fee. So they're gonna pass it along.
So the question is, how much do we want to
I mean,
contribute?
I think this is, I think we shouldn't, I think staff recommendation was 38. The Parks and Rec was 35. I would go with the lower.
I would go with the higher. If that's the two, I'd actually go higher because I don't think we're getting to where we need to get to. Last year
just so everyone this understands, if we went with the higher, it's an additional $7,000 in revenue, a little less. If we went with the lower, you're bringing in roughly the same. I mean, 7,000 is the difference between 35 and 38. Just
I understand.
That's helpful.
It's a pretty regressive way of raising money for the fields because it affects low and moderate income families more than anybody else.
But it affects everybody's taxes as well.
And we're Jason, we're coming up from 30 now. It's $30 now.
correct.
So it's an additional 5 instead of an additional 8.
Correct.
All right. It's not an easy call, but at some point, if we're that far out of line with the remaining with the surrounding communities, we may have to try to catch up, but we don't want to.
So,
But that's
we
what we
have
said,
been
that's what we
catching
said
up
last year.
periodically.
Lou, you weren't part of it, but that's what we said last year, that's what we were gonna do. And
can I
that's
just say that we are also doing a field reseeding program in-house. As these fields catch up to where they should be in the standard of play, we're going to be able to charge more. And we've been told that by the leagues that once these fields get to the shape they should be in and they deserve to be in, we're going to be able to charge that higher fee. if you walk into the harbor now, you'll see we have one field fenced off. Once that is complete, we're going to, do another field and another field, and then we're gonna be able to increase our rates, I think, a lot easier than we are able to now, because I think that we're gonna get less pushback from the leagues when we have a higher quality field.
Your personal recommendation is what, Jason?
My personal recommendation for this year would be to go with the PRC recommendation of 35. Let staff, meaning the Parks Department staff, do what they have to do out there, which they have already started. Get us to a point where we can go to be competitive with the other facilities.
All right.
But if we go to 38, we go to 38. I think the leagues know either way that could be an option. So
Victor, how do you feel?
I think the recommendation is fine. I'll go with the recommendation. Thank you.
Which one?
Jason.
The 35 or 38?
Aye.
5, okay, all right.
Five.
So I think that's where we are. There seems to be a consensus. So we'll put this on.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, then you have.
and we can provide, and I do provide the village manager with a report stating of what we do. I will just want to clarify that staff does not incur overtime from the leagues. If we do, it is billed back, meaning the Parks Department does the baseball fields every Saturday and Sunday. They line them, they rake them. All of that is billed back, which is in a report, which I believe the Parks and Recreation Commission saw at the last meeting, which shows the reimbursable overtime. So if we are working overtime for the leagues, they pay for those costs in full.
So this is on for 2 weeks.
Take one of these microphones.
Okay, so now your next item is,
He has G.
Well, you have to do the camp.
The camp too, yes.
yeah.
So that
The camp recommendation is the commission has recommended $50 increase and staff has recommended.
the $0 increase on residents.
I'm residents.
I said that.
So, then the staff recommended the increase for what was the rationale for the, for this?
The PRC's rationale for the increase was the inflationary trends. Everything costs more, therefore we got to bring our prices up. Staff, which I believe Dan provided in backup, felt that our current fee schedule for residents was sufficient because we are not losing money on camp. We are generating, additional revenues than we have before, and that would be, burdensome to put it on our residents when we could necessarily not do that. Add a little bit onto the non-residents, but keep it this year flat for the resident.
I think, Jason, also there was an increase last year to the resident rate, correct?
Yeah, it was a significant increase last year. I think we were closer to 9% last year. So we have increased over the last few years. And I think we don't necessarily need to increase the $50, but the PRC did feel we should. So that's why it's reflected in the fee schedule as such.
Jason, what was their rationale?
The PRC,
Yes.
the inflationary environment that we're in, everything's going to cost more, which is true right now. So paint costs 5% more than it did last year. Vendors cost more, supplies cost more. So that was the rationale, is that if we wanted to, keep the same margins that we're at now, that we just increase it a little bit to offset that inflation.
Doesn't seem to be a reason to increase.
I mean, I think there was a recommendation for a similar increase to the non-residents. And I think our camp is pretty reasonably priced. And so the Park and Recs Commission just felt like we were going to be in a situation where the camp would, possibly, the camp sort of breaks even. It doesn't make, it's not meant to make money.
That's cute.
It's certainly, in the last 3 years, Jason's with Augie has figured out really what the budget is. So we kind of know where we are, which we didn't always know.
Do residents and non-residents pay the same amount?
No.
No?
No, they pay significantly, non-resident pay significantly higher.
Okay. All right. I think the staff recommendation is to leave it as is is fine. That's my gut feeling, unless anybody else. I don't think we need to make money on this.
I think it wasn't make money, it was not lose money. It was their,
I don't think
was
it's a
their
make
theory.
money thing. I think, things are going up, and the question is. you
Maybe we
wanna-
should, maybe
wanna-
we should split it and not do 50, but do 25, just because everything, it does cost more, correct? I mean, Jason, do you think that there's,
Everything will cost more, undoubtedly. I mean,
Mhm,
the busing will cost more, the
Mhm.
supplies will cost more. T-shirts will cost more, water bottles will cost more, snacks will cost more. But I did provide everyone with the income report, and it does show, that we do have a cushion to not increase it, but either way, I'm okay with this one. If you want to increase it, I'm perfectly okay with it. Like I said, if we do choose to go with that 4.5% increase, it's about 14,500 potentially additional revenues. So
The grand scope of the original staff recommendation would have generated $7,000 more
Yeah.
in the field user fees.
Mhm.
So, if $50 would generate 14,500, 25 would generate 7,250, which I think is, in the grand scheme of what the staff recommended, was probably an equivalent increase in overall recreation
and
department.
how many scholarships are we able to give?
last year we did 18, and
Mhm.
it was a little under $20,000
Yeah.
in scholarships,
And
which I
that's
hope
still,
to do 25 this year. I really
Okay.
do.
If we raise the fee, can we do more scholarships?
Certainly, the village manager, we can work with that and Augie in the budget process this year to reflect additional scholarships. Yeah, certainly. If you want to offset it with the increase of 50 per resident, we certainly can work that out. I'm sure Augie and or the village manager would not have an issue.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Parks and Recreation Commission are people who really have a better pulse on, because they have kids who are, they are camp users, or
Sure,
many of them are
sure.
camp users and more recent camp users than any of us. So again, I'd go with their recommendation.
You're going for the Parks and Recreation Commission.
Mhm.
In other words, it's
Yeah.
the $50 increase?
Yeah, and
I would support that.
and also to see if we can squeeze a few more scholarships.
That's it.
I think
I mean, so I would go with the $50 increase if we make it contingent on increasing the number of scholarships. Can we do that?
Yeah, we certainly could do that. And it will reflect in our budget this year. We'll put it in there. Yeah.
And also, as you get closer to the budget, you may see what the cost differences are too. That's.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
you
we
need to get-
should know by January what things cost.
Right, and you need to have the fees. I mean, you could, if you needed to revisit one fee, you could. You just need to have the fees ready for the brochures in February, right?
Yeah, I like to get camp registration opens last week in February, first week of March, depending on the calendar fall. So I like to get it out after Christmas.
Right.
People start calling before Christmas, but yeah.
Because it's a bargain.
And that's a
Yeah.
good camp.
Yes,
That's a very
it's a
good
Good
camp.
camp, it's a bargain. We do unique things that you really can't do at other municipal camps, kayaking, paddleboarding, all sorts of water sports. So it is a good fee. People don't complain about the price, and the kids enjoy
Okay.
it.
So I think we have a consensus. This is on then for 2 weeks.
Yeah, 14th. Oh, actually, it's 3 weeks. 14th is 3
3
weeks.
weeks.
Jason was also here to speak about item 2G and 2I. So GHI.
All right,
All right.
G, right?
Okay, now let's go to G, Jason. You got the overtime expenses.
Okay, so we are requesting to transfer from within our existing budget, from our camp account, our camp salaries line, to our overtime line and our day camp. Not day camp, our beach line. So
Mhm.
we're about like 1,500 over budget on our beach line, and our overtime is also over budget because we added a number of events this year, another concert, festivals, programs that weren't necessarily anticipated.
So that was the September concert, the extra concert in September?
Yeah, we had an extra concert in September. We had the Monarch Butterfly Festival that were there. We had a host of other like programs and things that we did. So we did go over slightly.
And these are community events.
Community events.
Versus an event where somebody's renting the park. So if it's an event where somebody's renting the
Oh,
park.
they pay for that. Yeah, yeah.
Bill
They
back
pay for
over
that.
time, but
Yeah,
these are community
absolutely.
events, so.
No, these are community events. You know, we had like a Stand for Ukraine rally. I mean, there's a million and one things like I can go back on that we did. But if it's a paid event, like somebody renting the park, yes, they get billed back for the overtime.
Right, but I mean, these are events that people in our community can go to and enjoy, and so they're almost like, it's like programming, it's programming you don't have to do, but you're involved with.
Of course. I mean, even the pop-up concerts, you know, to set up for them, there's a slew of things that like necessarily the recreation department doesn't program, but we do go to ribbon cuttings, mostly a lot of things with that other departments do too as well, or Jerry will request us to go to because we can set things up and do things.
Some of these staffing requirements are based on program attendance, especially for beach and day camp. We have
Oh,
to
yeah.
maintain minimum levels
So
of
this
staffing.
is, so the money is how much coming from where?
So I don't have the Jan, do you have the resolution in front of you?
Yeah, let me get that for you, Jason.
It's 7,500.
Yeah,
Yeah,
75.
7,500 total, but it's coming from within our existing budget. So we're just moving money around.
All right.
So it's day camp, seasonal salaries to rec overtime, and day camp waterfront salaries to beach seasonal salaries. So it doesn't change your overall budget, it just moves
No,
the budget lines.
it's just moving money from one line to the other, yeah.
All right, I think we're all good with this. Yeah. This is on then. The next one is that yours also, field reseeding expenses?
No, that's not mine. That's the Parks Farm, but I don't think
Got
Jeff
it,
is
okay,
here.
yeah.
Veterans Day?
It's just a road closure. The Veterans Day are holding a ceremony on November 11th, and we need to shut down the section of Prospect Avenue between Mount Pleasant and Library Lane.
Right out here.
Right after. We put that on for tonight because the next meeting is after the 11th.
I'm good with that.
That's on too. All right. Are we finished with Jason now?
I think so.
All right, thank you, sir.
Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, appreciate it. Now, who's next?
Well, Jeff's here, right?
Jeff, yeah.
So that's,
That'll be-
that's.
Yeah, item L.
No,
The harbor feeding charges,
the bottom.
same type of thing. He has to start advertising and printing materials in January, so that's why we're asking the board to start the process for that now.
Anything to say about that, Jeff?
Hi, good evening, everyone. So this is the time of the year that we do our harbor fees. So this year, staff is suggesting a 5% increase on resident and a 2% increase on non-resident. The reason for the lower increase on non-resident is about 3 years ago, non-residents had about a 20% increase. So their fees are right about where they should be for a non-resident in our style marina with how our docks are set up and our amenities that we offer. So the resident rate can get moved up a little bit to kind of get more in line with that.
The other change, we're proposing to simplify the schedule of it, instead of having a rate for, 14 foot, 15 foot, 16 foot, 17. We're proposing to create categories, 14 to 16, 17 to 19, and so on.
So are we, last time we raised it, we were concerned that we were still not breaking even. what the board was told last, a year ago?
As far as I know, the last time I looked at everything, we were making money. We were above, breaking even.
I'm not just talking about salaries, I'm talking about all in, with amortization, et cetera.
Yeah, I would have to,
We're buying a crane, we're buying an additional vehicle, we're rebuilding all the docks.
Mhm.
I assume none of that has been figured in here, correct?
No,
Okay, so if you figure that in, I'm not sure we're making money.
right, well, the crane should be spread out over time. That's not something.
No, I'm not saying you recoup all of that in 1 year, you spread it over time, but that's what depreciation is.
Right.
I'm just concerned that we do have inflation, we're spending a lot of money. I'm not saying that it's not desired, but the issue then becomes, where do we end up on this? And I know that a year ago, we said we were going to try and do more. I don't know that we have to do a lot, but I think I would personally raise the residence rate a modest amount, 2%. It's just trying to keep ahead of,
So you would raise it less than they're proposing?
They're proposing 5
They're proposing 5
for the
resident.
for residents.
Okay, I'm sorry, for the non-residents,
Oh.
excuse me. I know that other marinas are charging a lot more these days. I don't, it's unfortunate, but that's where we all are. We all have, have to find a way to handle the burden. Nobody likes to do it, but needs to be done.
It's just, when you compare us to like the other municipal marinas in the area, say for, a 19-foot boat, we're already the highest for a non-resident, we would be like $103 a foot with the 2%, whereas New Rochelle and Rye are 95 and 98. And those marinas have, finger slips and that kind of stuff. So I don't want to price ourselves out of losing the non-residents, because then we're gonna get less money because they're all gonna go to another marina.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to avoid is trying to push all the non-residents out.
So you feel this is a good balance?
I think it is. I mean, I don't want to give the residents sticker shock and raise them more than 5 a year, to try and get that rate up, because the resident rate is the rate that's very low.
Right.
So that's why I'm trying to bring them up a little bit at a time every year, 5 or so percent. This way they don't have sticker shock because that's what happened when we raised the non-residents 20%. We had a big turnaround that year. So I'm trying not to do that to the residents.
I think Jeff has the overall goal in sight there, and it's moving in the right direction. I don't see any reason to buck the recommendation.
I mean, I have to say our location's convenient, more convenient than Rye and New Rochelle, but
it is, but with finger docks, if every one of our slips was a finger dock, then it would be a different story. But we don't have electric on all the docks. Those are all things that
people want.
People want it, and those are the marinas that are getting $200 a foot for have stuff on the docks. So we'll get there. It's just going to take time and a little bit at a time.
You think you can hold the line with this schedule?
With this schedule, I think I can hold the line. I also wanted to add a couple of things. The other marinas charge, like all the contractors that come in, a permit fee. Where they have to actually prove they have all the insurances in place and all that. Right now, I have no way to regulate who comes in and out of there to work on a boat. Whereas if I see somebody down there working on a boat and I say, did you get your permit from the harbor master's office, to work on the dock, then I can make sure that they have all their insurances and all that stuff. So that's something that I wanted to add in this year. And that permit fee would be $200, $250 per contractor.
And that's just for working at the
That's
village.
just coming down and working on the village docks, because if somebody's down there and they damage something, we have no way of knowing.
Yeah, and I mean, so do the surrounding boatyards have that? Do the village boatyards do that?
Yeah, Shell does it, Rye does it, they all do it, yeah.
But I'm just saying like the boatyards too. Do the yards do? Well, they do their own work probably, right? So
They do all their own work, but if a subcontractor does go in there, they do have to prove their workman's comp and liability insurance.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, one of the things Jeff did this year with the schedule is we provided kind of two schedules. One is the consolidated schedule. And the second was the more detailed schedule. And in that more detailed schedule, there are two columns showing the rates that are being charged by the city of Rye and New Rochelle. So we tried to make it easy to see what the comparables are.
We don't have any vacant slips, right?
We do for the smaller boats.
Smaller, like under 18?
Yeah, like 15 foot, all those small boats. That's why I'm starting to work with a couple of companies to get ideas on how to redesign the docks and replace them to both come in with ADA compliance and also eliminate the smaller slips. Because the marine industry has changed. Nobody buys a 15-foot boat anymore. Everything now is 24, 26. So it's kind of trying to ramp the marina up to accommodate bigger boats on all the docks.
It would be better to have fewer slips for bigger boats.
Right, fewer slips for bigger boats, right, exactly. So, and also then we can get ADA compliance because then, even though I'm building all the new docks now, we can just add to them. If they have to be wider, we could just, build another 4-foot dock where they have to be 10 feet and bolted to the side of it. And then we'll have all the ADA compliance.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
You good?
We good on this?
I have no problems with it. I don't understand your 10-foot, what you just said. That totally threw me.
The 10-foot.
Can you explain that?
Nobody buys smaller boats anymore.
No, I understand that. I got that. But you said
about the ADA compliance.
you had a 10-foot dock to be ADA compliant, or did I misunderstand you?
No, because we have all our docks now are 6 foot wide. But if we go ahead with redesigning the marina and have to move things around, we can then just bolt 4-foot wide docks if we needed 10 feet, or we could do another 6 foot if we needed 12. We could do whatever we wanted.
So it gives you flexibility.
Yeah, I think that was the point, was a redesign would provide.
For ADA, you don't need that. That's what I'm trying to get to. ADA requires 6 feet.
Okay. All right, so we're good on these on this item.
And was that the only other permit? I thought you said you wanted to do 2 new things. Was it just the
The
permits?
other one was if we wanted to start, the other marinas charged to be on the waiting list. Like we have a waiting list for kayaks and also S-Dock.
Uh-huh.
So they charge $25 a year to be on that waiting list. That was another, thing that I thought was a good idea because it kind of keeps the list current. Because like now, if we have an opening,
Uh-huh.
I have people on the waiting list for S-Dock back from 2004, and if we can't find them or something like that, it pushes off. So this way, it kind of, if you want to stay on the list, you have to re-up and stay on the list. I think it'll keep the list more current.
I guess we could try it. You could see how many people drop off, right?
Take off, right? Exactly.
Maybe a deposit.
I would not support that. I think that becomes a very regressive approach to life.
But
Just because it takes office staff a lot of time to try and track these people down. If they're on the list from 2004 and we have to spend all day, because now we get email addresses and phone numbers. They used to never do that. So we'd have to send letters and all that stuff. It eats up a lot of time to try and go back and find people.
Would it be possible to take all the people that you don't have an email for, just send them one letter and tell them that they have to get in touch with you via email to be on the list?
We could try that.
Just do that once and see if you can clean it up that way.
I think you can say, in order to maintain the list, you have by January or December, whatever the date is, you have to, re-up your form, period. I mean, there are ways of doing it without being regressive.
But I think what Jeff is saying is they don't keep they don't keep updating the waiting list. They look at the waiting list if they have a space, and
I
sometimes they have to
understand that,
track
but
people
may-
down.
I think that we should be updating the waiting list so we really know whether we have a demand or not.
But if we're gonna update the waiting list, then that's all the more reason to charge for the permit, because it's more work on an annual basis for the staff. Right now, it's just a pain in the neck when you are trying to track one person down because you have an opening.
Right.
Is that right? I mean, am I?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Nora.
The logic is it's
I would not-
this fee to make sure that
Okay, all
we're
right. So,
we're keeping up
I
to date
support
with
The concept of trying to get the waiting list updated. I don't support the concept of charging somebody for the privilege of being on the waiting list. I
But
think
we're
that-
already doing that, are we not?
No,
No, we're not
No.
doing that at all. And I don't, I think we may be running afoul of other issues.
Like I said, we can take that off. That's no problem.
Is that, where did you get that idea from, Jeff?
That's what Ryan Nourish do. That's what their marinas do.
Oh, all right.
it basically covers their cost of cleaning the list.
Right.
I don't have a problem,
I do.
but it's, so what do we, what do we want to do? We want to ask them to take that off and before we move it on?
I would prefer to take it
I
off.
understand that. What about you, Victor? What do you think?
Yes, I'm okay with it.
Okay with having a fee to be on the waiting list?
My concern there, I don't know if that's easy to implement, if that's something that the staff is what I don't want is to just create something that I don't know it's gonna work. That's what kind of my concern.
Yeah, okay.
If it simply works, I have no issue with it. But I don't want to be, administrating where I'm supposed to do policy. As a policy matter, sounds fair. If it's better for the village, it seems like a good direction, but I don't want to kind of impose on something that I don't know if it's gonna work or not.
But yeah, I think if Ryan New Rochelle is doing it and the staff wants to do it, then I'm fine with it.
I mean, it seems like it's gonna be a lot of work the first year to get it all cleaned up, and then it's gonna be kind of maintenance going forward.
All right, going forward after that, yeah.
So maybe you do it the first year and then you could lower the rate. It does seem unfriendly to make you pay to be on a waiting list. But on the other hand, you have to maintain a waiting list.
Right.
There's a cost to maintaining the waiting
Yeah.
list.
It is. There's a lot of time that goes into it.
And if you have to pay, you're not going to stay on the waiting list and move away or.
Right, because that's what a lot of times, people, we've called people or finally tracked them down after a day of trying to track them down. And they're like, no, we live in Florida now. So it's like,
Yeah.
We wasted a day and they're nowhere even in the area.
Okay, all right, I understand that. All right, so we could, I think we have a general consensus to move this up.
At
Okay.
least, you know what, at least to do it for 1 year so that it doesn't cost you money to clean. I mean, it's not too onerous to clean the list.
Right. Okay.
Let's see how you go.
Okay.
Okay.
And I've lost where we were.
Two-
2E.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Bye,
Thank you,
Jeff.
Jeff.
All right,
You just did 2E.
funding for East Boston Post Road Catch Basin repair.
So literally the last two catch basins on Post Road in the village, as you approach the town of Mamaroneck.
Mhm.
In 2014, I believe it was, the village upgraded, repaired all of the catch basins on Boston Post Road. We used some grant funds that we got from Nita Lowy's office. We did some work on Beach Avenue and Pine Street as well. The only two catch basins that were not part of that project were the two at the western border where the town of Mamaroneck across, at the one in front of McDonald's and the one across the street from it. Those two catch basins have since collapsed and we're looking to effectuate the repairs on those catch basins. We asked for a quote from Green Mountain because this is within their bailiwick, they're mobilized in the village as part of the sewer
Mhm.
I&I program. And we're seeking funding to get these last two catch basins essentially fixed and repaired and bring up to snuff with everything else that's along Post Road.
Did we get any other quotes or do we just assume that they
Well,
were?
we only asked Green Mountain because they are mobilized in the village right now. So, usually there's a cost associated with mobilization in the many thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
So that's why we asked for the quote from Green Mountain.
But I mean, do we think this is within the realm of what?
Yeah, I mean, I think we wound up repairing something like 30 or 40 catch basins on Boston Post Road in 2014. I think that contract was, it exceeded $500,000. It's when you work on Post Road, you have to coordinate with the state DOT, and I can vividly recall the kickoff meeting we had with our contractor back then and the state DOT, at which their representative gave us a punch list of around 80 items that the contractor needed to address in advance of doing that project. It's serious business working on a state highway.
Mhm. And they've been doing that locally.
Yeah.
I mean, so if we were able to shave 2,000 or 3,000, we probably wouldn't be able to. You're saying we wouldn't be able to save any money
I
because
doubt
we
it.
would
I
be
mean,
getting
it's-
somebody who had to come to the village and.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you're talking about basically between all of the work, about $16,000 a catch basin, which sounds like a lot, but I think, again, it wasn't far off when we paid 10 years ago. And I mean, obviously, we just talked about inflation.
Yeah.
But
Between,
this is $30,000.
yeah, so about 15,000 catch basin.
Righty.
Wait a minute, but this is 30 per, right?
No,
No,
it's
no,
30
30,
total,
30 for two.
2 catch basins. If you look at the quote, it says X
Okay,
times.
we're just,
two.
okay, it's
Yeah.
just transferring it. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's 15,000 a catch basin. Okay.
All right.
And we're using, I mean, this wasn't in our, this is not an emergency. But we're just transferring it from our capital fund.
Correct.
So,
I mean, right now they're covering, if you remember that on Post Road, those catch basins were covered for
oh, yeah.
what seemed like millennia, but not really.
Yeah, I mean, my concern is that I mean, I know it's not a lot of money, but we're spending money that we hadn't planned on spending. That's where I am. So
Yeah,
even though I think this is a good idea, what I said last week still holds.
We got to get to that capital budget.
Mhm.
All right, so this is on. All right, next
This
is
is on for tonight.
tonight.
Are you okay with that?
Yep. Okay, now F is a Justice Court Assistance Program grant application for tonight.
It's just, this is also time sensitive and when needs to be submitted.
Mhm.
We've received many JCAP grants over the years. I think the most recent is this dais that you're all sitting on. It's a marked improvement over what was here in the past.
Mhm.
So, the judges would like, they need board approval to submit the grant.
But they write the grant themselves.
They write the grant themselves, but they need that approval. And I was supposed to bring a copy of the application for you to sign, for the mayor to sign, but since you're here tonight, Deputy Mayor might give that to you.
Sure.
I think this is great. Thanks to the judges.
All right, so that'll be
I think
tonight.
we should thank the judges for doing this.
Yep.
All right, done G. Okay, H.
H.
Okay, Parks Department field reseeding expense. Also on for tonight.
This is prior to bringing the program in-house, we used to contract with the New York State Industries for the Disabled to perform the field reseeding at Harbor Island Park. NICE, New York State Initiative for the Disabled, used the services of a subcontractor, Landtech. They have been, no issues with Landtech and their work. The only issues we ever had with NICE is that they took forever to bill us. And we have a bill for services that were performed in November of 2020 that we received, I think, earlier this year. And there's a balance of about $7,000 or $8,000 that needs to be paid. So we didn't have a purchase order that encumbered the funds, so we're seeking to have a transfer so we can pay this whole bill and then just get it off our books.
We just found out about it, is what you're.
I think it was between the lateness of getting the invoice. Also, that we had a different person in charge of the Parks Department at that point. So I think this may have been one of those things that just kind of fell through the cracks when we had that transition.
All right, that's for tonight. And next is the Veterans Day ceremony.
It looks like, yeah, but it looks like what happened is they billed somebody who had left and it never got processed. It didn't get to the right location.
Okay, so we're up to M now? Or J?
Jay, after the coordinated paving.
Okay, all right,
Con
yeah.
Ed.
Oh, this is the Con Ed, this is where we get them to pay for some paving that where they've done work. Am I correct?
Yeah, there were several streets that Con Ed did restoration work on. Among those were streets that were also, I don't say torn up, but that the village performed work through its sewer project on. And the timing of when Con Ed's contractor was going to perform the work and the meeting schedule, I think we only found about, they only called us to schedule the date. May have been just slightly before the last board meeting, so there wasn't time to prepare the resolutions for that. So we had them do paving work on Hillside Avenue, because we did the sewer main replacement on Hillside Avenue. And I don't recall the others, I only recall Hillside because I spent a lot of time.
Maple and Mount Pleasant.
Yeah. And they just did actually. Maybe if you had taken Mount Pleasant and Maple today, you would have seen the paving job they did in the last couple of weeks.
And they did Van Rance not too long ago, right?
I don't think so. No, this was just the couple of streets that we had worked on. They may have worked on Van Rance, but not the entire road.
Yeah, it was just
Usually what Con Ed does when they do their repair, their roadway restoration, can never say that. When they do that, they only go mid-block. But in the case of those several streets, because the village had also done work on those streets, it presented opportunities. Since both sides of the road had to be restored, we just used Con Ed's contractor because they were here, they were mobilized, and it's just, it would get done much quicker than we could do ourselves. And there's still other portions that Con Ed needs to schedule with waterworks. I know at least the other side of Hillside between Mamaroneck Avenue and my new bridge.
And your new bridge.
I'm gonna call it my new bridge, among others.
all right, so that's on for tonight.
Correct. And
Okay.
there's money available if you want to seek reimbursement from them.
Now,
So we can seek reimbursement. We need to pay this, but we can get reimbursed.
Yeah, the state has the
And we
money.
can't get reimbursed until we pay it.
Correct.
Okay.
now we're up to M, stormwater systems design proposals, and this is on for November 14th. Gertrude Avenue, Washington Street, Madison Street, Center Avenue, storm system design and road reconstruction, and Florence Street stormwater evaluation and improvement plan.
There's some longstanding issues that I may I'll talk about. This.
Dan, I can take this.
Okay.
Thanks, man. On the Gertrude Avenue, Washington Street, Madison Street, Center Avenue, storm system design and road reconstruction. All of those streets are getting full cut repair, sewer line replacement from 6-inch to 8-inch, including the reconnection of the laterals. And some of those streets have, actually, I think all of those streets have, except for Gertrude, has inadequate storm drainage system. So this quote would be for our consulting engineer to do items 1, 2, and 3. Items 4 and 5 are there for demonstration purposes only, because we would do those in-house now that we're developing an engineering department. So the quote for Gertrude, Washington, Madison, Center is 128,700. Moving on to Florence, many trustees have emailed us, and we've been working out there, videotaping and examining Florence. And the same applies for the bid that we received from Keller Sessions. We would only need them to do 1, 2, and 3. And we would do 4 and 5 in-house. So the total for that would be not to exceed 26,800.
Can any of this get funded, like especially the bid document phase? Well, maybe not, and the construction management inspection phase, with the money that the governor just announced in September with those projects? They're really planning projects, right?
Yeah, they're not construction projects.
So
these would be
Yes.
construction bids.
So, but would the base mapping, final design, and the application phase be something that might be fundable under those programs?
We'd have to look.
I mean, we don't quite have the guidelines, right? I mean, they're starting, but the first applications are going to be due in February.
So obviously, as you know, right, before November 8th, they announce a lot of things and then they don't provide any details. So that's what's happening right now. There's a lot of programs being provided. But this would, Florence should occur right away. As far as the other streets, that would occur, Nora, much later, because we still have to do the full cut repair on those streets. So
Right.
we're months away from even looking at those streets yet. But as far as Florence, with the 26,000 and change, that would need to start right away, because I would hate for that group of individuals there, that group of property owners, to get impacted by an inadequate stormwater system that's there now.
So how are we going to fund this?
So the 26,800 would be out of fund balance or future issuance of debt. And then the reconstruction, a portion of the 128,700, a portion of that would be attributed to the sewer fund, because some of this work is attributed to the sewer, and the other portion would be out of future issuance of debt or fund balance.
When do you anticipate getting to Gertrude, et cetera?
Gertrude, we're waiting for Department of Health with bated breath right now to give us the approval on Gertrude. And we have the approval already for Madison, but we needed to get Gertrude out of the way. And unfortunately, they are still holding our permit. But we have Gertrude that I hope to start within the next 2 weeks. And then Madison and Center, we already have the permits for those. So right after Gertrude, which is I think only 150 linear feet, which shouldn't take too long. Then we move on to the full cut on Madison, and of course, actually I'll do Center first and then I'll do Madison last.
So this is basically going to provide storm sewers for that area.
And reconstruction of the road, Nora.
Well, right,
Yeah.
because we have to reconstruct the road after we do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember, there were storm sewers put down my street about 10 years ago, and it was an ordeal.
And they're actually not missing, but no one ever had the fortitude to kind of go out there and put some storm some storm drains in there. Just, we're talking about 1-inch rainstorm, we're talking about puddling on the roads, we're talking
Right.
about significant amount of water. And those houses are very close to the street, as is, your street. And that ponding and splashing, right onto the front porches at times, so
Well,
they need an upgrade.
I mean, we need storm sewers all over the village.
Yeah.
Right.
There are very few of them in the village.
But some neighborhoods where the houses are set back significantly, you're getting some of that splashing, and of course you have the lack of control with hydroplaning and people having, issues driving, but it's not splashing onto your front porch, and that's the issue.
Right, it's more basement water, it's more
Yeah.
groundwater.
And it's front lawn, it ends up right exactly on the front lawn, and so that's where the issue is with that. But I could tell you, I mean, we're saving on the Florence, because I would have the engineer's office do it. We're saving $41,000, and on the other one, we're saving almost $200,000, $190,000. So it's a split.
I'm just still in the same phase. We haven't done our capital budget, so
Yeah,
we just keep adding and adding and adding,
Yeah.
and we're gonna get to a point where somebody's, there's gonna be an emergency, there's gonna be something we need to do and we can't do it.
But that's, we need. to
These
do.
would certainly be items added to the capital budget.
Yeah,
These would be items certainly added to the capital budget.
but I mean, we haven't set a cap on what we're gonna spend on the capital budget, and so the town says we're gonna spend X amount of money every year on our capital budget. And if something has to get shifted, they just make a decision. They don't do something and they do something else. And I think we need to get closer to that stage.
Absolutely.
Also, in April, we decided to do some engineering, some water studies in that area, in the Washingtonville neighborhood, in that area. We were going to do some engineering studies about water using some of the pandemic funding. And those haven't been done, but it seems like, if we're going to be doing this engineering work before we've done the studies, would we be better off allocating the study money to this project? I can't remember what the amount was. Do you?
This is $100,000.
It was the ARPA money. I think it
Yes,
was
it was your.
25,000 or 50,000.
I think I was like, it was 50. I think it was 50.
Yeah.
I mean, is it better to put that money into
Yeah.
this, into this? Because if we're going to be doing construction and storm, if we're going to be, I mean, or should we be doing, if we're going to be building a storm sewer in this area that we were going to study the hydraulics of, should we be studying the hydraulics first, or should we, how will that affect the study? How will construction in that area, or building a flood alleviation program or facility or infrastructure in that area affect whether or not we should still be studying it?
So since that money has already been approved by the board to spend, we can get that project started quickly now, because this work at Madison, Washington, and Center, like I said, we still have to do the sewer line. So there's a significant amount of time. So we'll get that going very quickly, that study that we talked about and the board agreed to. And then at some point, we'll have to transition into this design and evaluation and survey work that's required on these Washingtonville streets.
Mhm.
We can get to that, but that should be done first before this, and this doesn't have to start right away.
The study should be done first.
Yeah, and then this,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what-
this should follow
well,
it.
so Right, otherwise,
We do it and then study and find out we did the wrong
No, the
thing.
study should be done first, and this should follow it. And of course, that doesn't apply to Florence. Florence is drainage improvements, pure and simple, because
because Florence Park was a swamp.
and I think it's down, I think the storm system that drains the water away from that low spot is undersized, so.
Mhm.
All right.
It may also be deteriorated.
Yeah, no, we looked at it, it looks like it's holding up, but it's not necessarily appropriate for the amount of water that, it's full build out on that street, so things
Yeah.
might have been different years ago.
Okay.
Okay, I guess that is the work session. We have a executive, I would, well, do we have a executive session?
Yeah,
Yes, we do have an
we do.
executive session.
All right.
We have advice of council, and there's 3 items on the executive session.
I thought the performance review was being put off, no?
Well,
That is being put off. I canceled my lawyer and we canceled Mike Heckle. So that's on for the 14th.
Mike Heppel wasn't coming, but I guess just, we noticed it, and so I think we need to say why we're not discussing it. And I guess there was a lot of emails flying, but because it's on, I mean, I pulled off the agenda today and it's on the agenda.
All right,
So
so
the public might think it's on it.
because
So the mayor's not, Tom's not here.
Yeah.
So this is just a matter of, going over our performance review with Jerry, and Tom's not here. And so we're just waiting so that there's,
Yeah,
the whole group is here.
We'll wait
That's
till he's
all.
available, that's it. Okay, so executive session, we're in, and is anticipated the motion will be offered to enter into executive session pursuant to 105(1)(f) of the New York State Public Officers Law to discuss the medical, financial, credit, or unemployment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
So this, I had put this on, it's a letter from a member of the zoning board.
Mhm.
It was on for advice of counsel, but I had wanted to discuss it in executive session. This looks like we're disciplining a member of the zoning board of appeals. That's not what it was. So we got a letter from the zoning board asking a question about something that happened, and that's really what we're discussing. It's
Is
not
there a
that we're-
reason, can Bob, can you tell us, is there a reason this should go into executive session? Why not? Why wouldn't it just be discussed in the open?
Well, I trying to remember exactly what it was that was in that letter. And I don't have it in front of me. I didn't ask to be put in executive session.
Yeah.
I think that I thought that the board wanted to discuss it in an advice of counsel session before discussing it publicly, if it was appropriate to discuss publicly.
Well, I mean, I read the email. He's complaining that he was asked.
I really think you shouldn't be discussing the content of the email. I think this is something that should be discussed in executive session.
Why? That's what I'm asking for.
Because I think, because there was a matter raised, and I think that there's the question about whether something someone did was appropriate, and I think it should be discussed in executive session, not in open session. We haven't put the letter is not in backup. It needs to be in public and backup. And this has been going on for 6 times. I also asked that the zoning board, the member who wrote this letter, and the zoning board council be invited, and they weren't invited.
All right, I read the letter. It wasn't clear to me what he was talking about. And
Well, and that's why we need to talk to the person who wrote the letter and the lawyer who was involved, because our village attorney, who of course can be there, isn't the attorney for land use council. So this is, I think, the 3rd or 4th time I've tried to get this discussed. And I think it needs to be discussed with the parties who were involved.
Well, we don't have the, I mean, I still don't, we don't know what it's about. And I don't see that it needs to be discussed. I mean, I don't.
Well, I do. I do. But again, we don't have the parties who raised the issue at the meeting. So we're not going to be able to get to the bottom of it until we do that.
So can we then put this on to for the executive session 3 weeks from now, first meeting in November?
Okay, this is what we keep doing, though. I hope
No,
it
but-
will. Yeah, I mean, yes.
But
For
if we
3
do
weeks
it
from
with
now.
instructions that
There was a.
And there were two letters
There
that,
was a discussion about having a council in this matter
this, I mean, we should not discuss the specifics until we go into an executive session. And so if it's clear that the parties aren't here, so I move that we put it on for, a second Dan's motion, we put it on for the 14th and have all the parties there so we can actually discuss the matter.
Is this something, Bob, that needs to go into executive session? Your opinion?
I'm not sure I can make that judgment, not knowing exactly what it is you want to talk about. The question is whether it qualifies, and if you want to go into executive session, you can. Whether it should or not is really up to you, as long as it qualifies. If you're talking about the qualifications or potential discipline of a particular person, that qualifies for executive session. If you're just talking about disagreeing or agreeing with something that happened at a meeting, that's not an executive session item. So I don't know that I have enough detail to give you an answer on that.
I don't, and I don't either. There were no, it was just a complaint. Is it? I got the feeling that his nose is at a joint about something. And
Okay, this is, again, I don't really think that talking about that, I think this needs to be, just. I personally think that there is an action that was taken that should be discussed under the exemption that's been listed. And I think I'm not comfortable discussing it in open session. Additionally, we don't have this letter on as backup. It's in our executive session backup. It's not on the public backup, and it's not a conversation. It's a conversation for an executive session, not for a public
So
chat.
there's a motion on the floor.
I seconded it.
and the about whether or not we're going to put this forward for executive session.
It's a
Mhm.
motion to put it on the executive session 3 weeks from on November 14th, first meeting in November.
Okay, so a
With all-
motion
with
seconded
just-
and
Lou, just with all parties notified and asked to be present.
that's your motion,
That is correct.
and
I
you
second
seconded
that.
that. All right, Augie?
One question, this has already been in our packet, or I mean, in our executive session to-do list twice or 3 times, is it? Twice at least?
What?
This has already been,
Yes.
Yes, it's just the parties have never been invited. I guess last week, 2 weeks ago, the land use attorney was invited, but too late to be able to attend. Was
Okay.
invited at the last minute and couldn't make it. So it
Right.
was delayed
Yeah.
till today, at which
I
point. he
recall.
was invited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I
That's
was,
And-
that's
and-
what was missing, okay.
And my understanding is that we're not obligated to do anything. We just got an email from a board member.
That's a decision for, that we have to make sure that
Fine.
you're correct. I don't know.
Okay. Roll call.
Trustee Young,
No.
trustee Natchez?
Yeah.
Trustee Lucas?
Yes.
Trustee Tofor?
Yes,
Augie, can you have the, this week, have the people notified that they will be,
Will do,
sure that that's done, timely.
will do.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's the third thing there, it is anticipated the motion will be offered to enter into executive session pursuant to 105(1)(d) of the New York State Public Officers Law to discuss matters of current litigation, VOM Seed or Said.
Mhm. So we're going into advice of counsel regarding the ADA, and we're going into executive session under 105(1)(d) for VOM side. I second that motion.
Okay.
Just wanted to shorten it for Sally.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Victor's saying.
Okay, so I guess, Ellen,
Do we do it here?
can we do it here? We can do it.
Set up in there.
Oh, we're set up in there, okay. Good. All right. No, that's where the food is.
Oh, can LMCD make sure that mics are off and everything else is off and
consensus and made decisions. And that's the way you guys should function. So my observation is, well, what was different? You know, in Passover, we say the 4 questions, and one of the questions is, why is this night different from all other nights? And I would rephrase the question, and I would say, why is this meeting different from all other meetings? And I think the difference that I observe is the mayor is not here. When the mayor is here, I'm not trying to make any disrespect, but my observation is that's when there's contention, that's when there's issues, that's when there's frustration, there's anger, there's this, that. You guys handled it really well without him. The final thing I want to say, I see that Jerry is
He's not.
listening in the Zoom, maybe he's listening or not. I just want to tell Jerry, I received some emails recently of which I was not a part. One had to do with the flood committee. I don't know, Jerry, why you're including me in your responses to something about the flood committee. You know, please leave me out of all your things. You know, we've had our differences. I'm just trying to do my job as a volunteer. I'm trying to do the best job I can. And I hope you're doing the same thing, but please remove me from your emails that have nothing to do with me. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Mr. Mayor, how are you?
Good. Very quick. I would congratulate this weekend the Committee for the Environment at the village-owned property at Fayette and Rockland. And they had an amazing group of volunteers clearing it out.
Victor, can you hear them?
Excuse me?
Okay.
I just came out and I tried to
Yes.
go.
Yes, I can.
I think Dan, I think Jerry's having a problem.
I'm good.
Well, I'll continue. It's very quick.
Continue.
Congratulations to
Continue,
those
Mr. Noel.
especially, but I would note, I think the village should seriously look at fast tracking and making that property parkland.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, let's move on. We have no public hearings. Let's go with audit of the bills. We have abstract of audited vouchers, all of $200. This is oh, this is for a permit application, Dan?
Yeah, this is the application that we filed with the DEC.
The river dredging, the long overdue river dredging. Okay, any comments?
Try to help Jerry log on.
All right. Motion to accept it?
Motion to adopt.
To adopt?
Adopt this, well, read which audit is the first, it's
Is that on?
vested from last year, right?
It is listed,
I guess not.
no, it says 10/24/22, amount $200. It's one item. So a message to adopt, second, please.
Second.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
okay, all right. And I'll sign this and send it over. to you.
Note for the record, Victor is on.
Victory is on, yes.
Is Jerry on? I can't, is that,
Jerry got knocked off and is trying to get on.
okay, because I thought I heard him say that, okay.
Okay, all right, next is abstract of manual vouchers in the amount of $625,566.42. Any comments or observations about this?
I have a question on page 8.
Yes, sir.
The first item, Hudson Valley Engineering for the Short Street over Mamaroneck River. I'm not, Short Street is over the Mamaroneck River?
It's over Beaver Swamp Brook.
Right,
I can't hear you.
No, it is over Beaver Swamp Brook.
right.
Yes, okay, and why, and what is this for?
So if you don't know, all of the bridges in the village are inspected once every 2 years by the New York State Department of Transportation, and we get a report from them if there are any flags or issues. Because Short Street is so small, it's not technically a bridge. so it's not subject to that biennial inspection. So working with the town of Rye, we did an RFP for a culvert inspection, and HVA submitted the lowest response to that. So we had HVA conduct an inspection of the culvert. They provided a report to us. In my monthly report, I update on various issues. I can report that in general, the culvert is in good shape. It does need a little bit of TLC, and it's something I'm gonna work with the town of Rye on. And
Isn't Short Street Bridge or culvert, whatever you wish to call it, owned by the town of Rye?
no, pursuant to our settlement agreement, that is both the village and the town of Rye. So the town of Rye, once if this voucher is paid, I am going to submit an invoice to them for $2,250 for their 50% share of this cost.
It's not owned by the town? I thought it was.
The responsibility for will be known as general maintenance and bridge maintenance is shared pursuant to our bridge stipulation agreement. It's shared between the town of Rye and the village of Mamaroneck. So there's dual responsibility for that.
So we'll be reimbursed for half of this? Or?
Yes, I will submit an invoice to the town.
I thought they just did an RFP for undertaking its rehabilitation.
No, not for Short Street. What we did was we requested an inspection because neither the town of Rye or the village were aware of the physical condition of the structure. So we wanted that information so we could engage in some long-term capital planning. So like I said, the report says that the bridge is in generally good shape. I mean, considering it's a 90-year-old bridge, we're pretty happy with that. It does require some work, and I'm going to discuss that plan with the town of Rye, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And I'd like to include something in the capital budget when we talk about that with the board for future years.
And the reimbursement happens when?
I imagine as soon as I send the town of Rye an invoice, they will likely reimburse the village within short order.
Okay, and I guess we would just simply need to change on the report, the Mamaroneck River to Beaver Swamp Creek.
Yes.
All right. Motion to accept the vouchers.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, now we go to old business, adoption of resolutions for a village dog park. This is to be held. This is still tied up in, where are we on this? So it's still tied up in red tape or what?
Form a committee to
Yeah,
expand it.
Last meeting, the board appointed the committee with a charge. I don't know if they've had a chance to.
They're trying to set up a meeting.
Okay.
And one of the glitches is that it's taking a long time for them to all have to get on village email.
Okay.
So I'm having to call everybody to set up a meeting.
Oh, good lucky you.
That's okay. They're all
Okay.
nice.
And,
They're all
and just to
nice.
reiterate, that ad hoc committee will report to this board,
That's correct.
correct? Not to the Parks and Rec.
I think the way it was, I can't recall what the resolution said, but I think a formal recommendation is to present by the board by January.
All right,
next year.
understood. All right, perfect. All right, zipping right along here. New business resolution scheduling a public hearing on a PLLD 2022 tree law revisions. All right, help me out here.
So, well, we're scheduling the public hearing. I'm trying to get to I'm saving paper, but sometimes it's hard to get to see which page it is in this 300-page agenda.
November 14th.
November 14th?
November 14th, 8 o'clock for local law D. of 20.
Okay.
And the revisions were all set up, after many iterations, Bob and Mark finished coordinating with planning board made some comments and the tree committee made some comments, and Bob and Mark worked with them and got the final together. And that's what we're studying, doing the public hearing.
And it is just a tremendous amount of work went into this, and I know,
Yes.
yeah, a tremendous
A
amount of work
tremendous
went
amount
into
of
it.
work has gone into this.
Gone into this, and it'll be good to finally discuss it in public with people who want to weigh in on it. So that, so let's, can we get I move to schedule the hearing for November 14th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so that's done. All right.
2 weeks from tonight.
3 weeks from tonight, tree law, public hearing. Resolution scheduling public hearing on PLL 1/2022, lowering village-wide speed limit to 25 miles per hour. This is the mayor's passion, and I agree with him on this. I think it's something we need to do, but we're going to schedule that also on the 14th. Is that what the schedule says?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Lou,
Yes.
it's PLLI.
Oh, PLLI. What did I say? One.
Yeah, no problem.
PLLI. Forgive me.
I've engaged our traffic engineering consultant from AKRF to prepare the report and certification about the 25 mile per hour speed limit.
Okay.
So we need that before we adopt the
Yeah,
law.
so
Yeah.
I hope to have it by the 14th. They told me it was probably 1 to 2 weeks.
Well,
We're
then
3 weeks out from the next meeting, so I will push them.
So
we
if we,
schedule it, I mean, here's the
Well, if you
question.
schedule for the 14th, I mean, the worst that would happen is if we don't have it in time, we just hold it.
We have to open it, though. We would have to open it.
Yeah.
And then adjourn it for 2 more weeks. I suppose, I mean,
Yeah.
because you have to renotice it is the problem. So the question is it smarter to notice it for the 14th or the 28th?
Well, you can also open and close the hearing, but not adopt until you have the report, if you want.
Okay,
okay. All right. All right. Thank you, Bob. All right. So let's, did we take a motion on that?
No.
I move to schedule the public hearing for PLLI for November 14th, 2022.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Okay, resolution authorizing proposal for additional public engagement events for comprehensive plan update.
You skipped one.
Oh, see, I'm sorry, I did skip one. Forgive me. Resolution scheduling public hearing on PPLJ 2022 SCRIE and DRIE programs.
At the last work session, or the last 2 work sessions, we discussed the senior citizen rent income exemption and disabled individual rent income exemption programs. This is the local law that would increase the income eligibility level to $50,000 and also authorize it for disabled residents.
And this affects a low number of people, but it's going to be really helpful for them.
Yeah, I think in the village, we currently have 6 or 7 people who participate in SCREE. I don't have a number for the DREE program, what will be in the village, but in my discussions with the county, with the state, a grand total of 10 people in Westchester County.
Yeah, so it's not a loss. All right. All right. Move to schedule the hearing for, would you do that also on the 14th?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I move to schedule on the 14th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Make sure I don't get ahead of myself here. New business D, resolution authorizing proposal for additional public engagement events for the comprehensive plan update.
That several work sessions ago, Neil Desai from Hardesty in Hanover gave an update to the board on the comprehensive plan. The board had asked Mr. Desai to provide a proposal, to provide some additional public stakeholder outreach. And this was the proposal that he submitted, was reviewed with the board at the last work session, and this is just on for action, for consideration.
Okay, are we loading up November 14th too much here?
No, I mean, this is really,
Oh, this is just
this is
authorizing.
just authorizing Hardesty and Hanover
Yeah,
to
it's-
actually to do the outreach, so.
Yes,
Understood,
I think
okay.
it's $3,730.
They provided a schedule. Well, they provided some details and not quite a schedule of when they do it, but I don't know that they'd be back here in 3 weeks. That's my guess.
Right.
Okay. So entertain a motion to authorize the proposal.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. New business E, resolution authorizing execution of JCAP grant application. That's for the court system here, right?
That's correct.
And,
It's a $17,000 grant application for various office supplies, furniture, desks, file cabinets, things like that.
and the village justices are doing that on their own. They just need our permission to do it.
Yeah, the village board has to approve it, and I'll provide the application to the mayor or deputy mayor for him to sign, because it does require that signature.
Okay, oh, all right. So they were,
So moved. I mean, I moved that we thank I guess, support the application, is that it, or approve the
Yeah.
application?
Yeah, I mean, apparently the resolve clause was provided by the judges based on their discussions with the Office of Court
we
Administration.
appreciate that. All right. All right. So we have a motion on the table. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Here we go.
And thanks to the judges for
Thank you.
doing this.
Okay, F, resolution authorizing funding for payment of emergency repair at Halsted Manor Firehouse. This is the problem we have with the with what over there?
Yeah, no, there was a
Sewage.
break in the lateral connection from the firehouse to the street, among other issues that were also found during the repair.
Okay.
Because when you start repairing something old, there's always something
Fine, so
else
you were
to,
talking about this when I walked in.
yes.
Okay, so, okay, great. So we need a
Motion to
Motion.
fund the 33,000 and change to cover these repairs, which have been completed.
okay. Just your motion?
Mhm.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. And again, we're going to get to the capital budget ASAP in the new year and find out where we're at with all the spending. All right. Resolution authorizing budget transfer for recreation department salaries. This was this the overtime thing?
Correct.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. So this is just a movement of money within the
Yeah, these are existing funds available in other recreation department budget lines. So,
The Recreation Department has been assisting with a lot of other programs
Yeah.
that were unexpected, and so they have some overtime from that.
all right. Need a motion for that?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, H, resolution authorizing road closure for Veterans Day Parade. That's right out front here, right? Okay,
November 11th.
there we
Not a
go.
parade, just a ceremony.
All right.
I shouldn't say just a ceremony, but not a
Well,
parade.
yeah, but there's always, you gotta walk to the, it's kind of a parade, right?
It's a little parade.
Little parade.
It's a
All right.
promenade.
I move to authorize a road closure.
Second.
All in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
okay.
What version of the resolution do you have? Because I have American Legion Post 90 to close Mount Pleasant Avenue between Mount Pleasant Avenue and Library Lane.
Yes, Friday, November 11th.
Are we closing Mount Pleasant or are we closing Prospect?
Prospect.
No, it says okay. So you want to say the closure of Prospect Avenue. Okay,
Avenue.
good catch.
between Mount Pleasant, because I didn't know which, I'm looking at it online, so I didn't know what version Daniel gave you, so.
Daniel gave them the wrong version.
All right, that's okay. We just add Prospect. We're closing Prospect. We're not closing Mount
So they're on your
Pleasant.
permanent record.
It should go on ours because we didn't catch it.
That's true. All right,
Yeah,
thank you,
we
Derek.
all made a mistake.
Jerry, thank you, Jerry. All right, do we need to vote on it again, or is it good?
I think you should vote to amend.
Let's vote to amend, we're closing Prospect and not,
So
not
I
Pleasant.
move to amend to adopt the resolution as amended.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, resolution authorizing funding for coordinated paving with Con Edison. This is work we get them to do when they've torn up the street. And they fix what they've wrecked.
They tore up one side, we tore up the other with our sewer project.
So we're getting a little something there.
So we're going to pay this and then Dan will ask for reimbursement.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, we need a resolution, or we need a motion.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, a resolution authorizing repair of catch basins on East Boston Post Road. These are the final two catch basins, I understand,
Yeah.
before you get to the town line. And it was, what, 16 grand, was it?
No, it's 32.
32.
16 each.
32, 16 each. All right,
So these haven't been funded yet. I mean, haven't been
No,
started
we
yet.
haven't started the work yet.
And the reason you're doing it is because we have Green Mountain here for how much longer?
Well, you know, at some point, we're gonna talk about the next phase and how if we can continue with them, but they're here now and probably for the next several months, just
Yeah.
still finishing up phase one.
this for the audience, there's a contractor working in the vicinity of the village now. And by working with them, we save the staging costs.
Yeah,
right?
mobilization.
When they have to come down and set up shop. So they're already here. We save that part because they're already here. There you go. And this is costing about the same as it cost from a dead stop 10 years ago, right?
A little bit more, but you know, it's understandable given, you know, that was a much larger project that dealt with.
All right, so we're doing
Maybe
okay.
50, yeah.
Cost wise. Need a motion to approve that resolution? Okay, second, all in favor? Aye.
I'm voting no, simply because I said I wasn't going to vote for more stuff that was capital until we actually got our capital
Laura, you
budget.
did say that.
I did say
And
that.
you're a person of your word,
I
so
did
I
say
think
that.
we'll note that.
Although I do understand why this is an appealing project and what the timing of it is.
It's a protest vote.
No, I really want to deal with the capital budget, the
Yes, I know.
capital spending
But you
plan.
don't want to stop this catch basin. So it's a protest.
I don't want to stop any project. I just want to get our capital
Understood.
budget.
We will get to it. I will back you on that.
Good.
All right. K, resolution authorizing budget amendments for grant-funded police overtime. This, we did not talk about, and this was something that was,
Yes, given kind of late, but if you recall, maybe several months back, the police department received a grant from the New York Cares
Mhm.
program,
Mhm.
which we're using to provide some, I don't say employee assistance program type services, but mental hygiene. This is the second payment of that, so we just want to reflect that in the budget.
okay.
So we had agreed to do this previously. This
Yeah,
is.
we received the grant several months ago.
It did not need to be on the work session because it was on a
And
previous
the board
one.
had already approved the first budget amendment, the first page.
Okay. We need a motion.
Does this mean that we get reimbursed? Is that what you're saying?
I think we've already been.
We've already received the money.
Yeah, we've already received it.
Yeah, so we have to properly account for it in the budget.
That's fine.
Okay,
So moved.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, new business L, resolution authorizing budget transfer to fund field reseeding. This, you explained this earlier.
Yeah, this is payment of an invoice from, that we all received recently, but it was work that was performed in, I think, October of 2020. And we didn't have any funds available on a purchase order.
The invoice got lost.
Yeah.
They send it to somebody who doesn't work here anymore, and so we're paying for something that was done a year or so ago.
Yeah.
And they did a good job, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, great. All right, so move to authorize the budget transfer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
M, resolution authorizing supplemental appropriation for Hurricane Ida repairs. Which one is this now?
Well, it's for the Volunteers Firehouse.
Yeah, we're
And
not going to rapidly approaching the end of our incurring of costs for repair and recovery. We've got $212,000 of remaining costs for Volunteers Firehouse. So this would fund the remaining repairs, which will also seek reimbursement from FEMA under the disaster assistance.
And this is
From
the, yeah, go ahead.
so from FEMA, so hopefully 90% from FEMA and maybe the remaining 10% from the state.
And this
But we
is-
have to expend it before we can
Correct.
ask for reimbursement.
Right, and this is we just reopened this but last week
That's what.
on Mamaroneck Avenue. It's the only firehouse on that side of the river, and therefore quite critical.
We are at 100%. We already, sometime in late spring, we received the information from the governor's office that we're 10%, 90% FEMA, 10% government. So
Okay.
Okay, good.
All right, thank you, Jerry. All right, so move that we authorize a resolution for the supplemental appropriation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Resolution authorizing emergency repair of collapsed storm sewer line at Orienta and Skibbo. This is just something we got to do.
Yeah, we had a collapse in the storm sewer line. We had to repair it. Occurred at Orient and Skibo. And this is pay the bill.
And this was how much again?
So 20.
26,001.
Change. Yeah.
Oh, look at you. All right.
It's right in front of me. It's
Yeah,
not that I
it was-
remember.
It took, it was a daily rate, took three days to fix, including setting up. and breaking down.
Need a resolution authorizing the emergency repair.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the final thing here is a resolution approving the settlement with the Village of Mamaroneck versus Said. This was, we're being explain this so I don't screw it up. We're getting money.
Let's ask Bob.
Yeah, Bob.
So-
Yeah, we're getting this. This is
Yep. Under section 207C of the general municipal law, the village is required to pay a disabled police officer who's disabled as a result of an injury on duty, his or her full salary and benefits for as long as the disability lasts. And typically what happens is at some point the police officer retires on disability and the village's liability ends. That's what happened here with Officer Petrillo. And the village has the right to go after the person who caused the disability to recover the amounts the village has expended. In this case, that was Mr. Side, who was driving while intoxicated and struck police officer Petrillo. So the village sued Mr. Side, and we have reached a settlement. The village's out-of-pocket expenditure was somewhere in the neighborhood of a few $1,000s, over $300,000. We reached a settlement for $250,000, which basically saves the village the cost of making motions for summary judgment, et cetera, the risk of erroneous decisions and appeals and so forth. It's money in the village's pocket. So we've reached a settlement. We spent a substantial amount of time negotiating the terms of the general release. That has been done to my satisfaction in terms of the form of the release. And we are ready to enter into a stipulation of discontinuance upon the payment of the $250,000 by Mr. Side's insurer, if the board authorizes us to do that.
All right, so, and this is as much as we're going to get, fighting it is going to end up costing us money.
Well, I think fighting is going to cost money, and I think this is a very reasonable settlement.
Okay.
On both sides, yeah.
All right, move that we accept the resolution approving the settlement.
Second.
Well, we should probably take the roll on this. Augie?
Trustees Young,
Yes.
trustee Natchez, trustee Lucas.
Yes.
Trustee Tofor,
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. All right, communications to the board, part 2, the sequel. Sometimes the sequels are better than the original. Anybody want to talk?
Forward.
Glenn Tippett. The paving that was done with us in Con Ed, the reimbursement's actually gonna be what, New York State through CHIPS?
Yeah, well, there's various there's chips.
Yeah, I just wanted, we're not getting it from Con Ed, but we are being
Don't
repaid by CHIPS.
Don't test me on the acronyms because I don't know all of that.
Yeah.
You know most of them.
Yeah, what is it? There's CHIPS, Extreme Pave, New York, and POP. And I don't know what POP stands for. That's why we have a treasurer. The only other one is just, what Nora keeps saying is we come up here and week after week, it's okay, we just spent another $400,000. Okay, we just spent another $500,000. Okay, we just have another $400,000. And we haven't even gotten to the big fun stuff where the fire department's gonna come in and they want 2 fire trucks, both at $1 million each. You also, once you start the dredging, you're gonna have to pay for it, and you're gonna have to have annual dredging. You deal with that. We still have to pay our police officers their retro pay due to the settlement of the contract. So, at some point, right now, and I realize that a lot of it happens to be from IDA, but right now, our operating budget, we're spending $4 million more than our revenue due to adjustments to encumbered that got transferred from one year to the other, items that we have listed. And like I say, a major one is IDA. And, hopefully we get, the 90% is pretty much guaranteed, and hopefully the state follows through with the 10%, but there's no guarantee that you're even going to see that money in this budget period, depending on how much money FEMA has on hand. They just had a large emergency, and, they need to be refunded by the federal government to keep sending the checks out. So it's at some point, it's just important to realize how you're going to pay for things. I never come up here, I don't tell you what to spend your money on, what projects to do, is this a good or bad project? All I really want to know as a taxpayer is whether it's my property tax, whether it's long time spending, whether it's raising fees and such. How are we going to pay for items? Thank you.
Great question, Glenn. Thank you.
Robert Stark, 704 Plymouth Court. I'm on the Traffic Commission. I'm talking about the Traffic Commission. Most of the time that I've come up here and spoken, I've been critical and found and said things that I perceived as constructive criticism. I am not here to criticize for the sake of criticizing. My purpose in speaking has always been to try to point things out that I observe could be done better. That's where I'm coming from. Tonight, earlier when I spoke, I congratulated you on the work session. Now that your regular session is over, I'm congratulating you on the regular session. Well done. Lou, you know I've been a critic of yours. Well done. Good job chairing the meeting. And I think we owe a lot of thanks to Nora. Nora, with her experience and knowledge, is always there to guide you through all these items on the agenda. Great job. And that's all I say. Bravo.
Thank you.
One last thing, just another observation. Often at these meetings, the room is filled with tension. No tension tonight. It was great. It was civil. It was friendly. You accomplished a lot. That's the way it should be done all the time.
Thanks.
Fairly mild agenda also. All right, great. Thank you very much, Rob. Appreciate it. Okay, that's it. And no more communications. Let's report from the village manager.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have two items to file for the record. One is an agreement with the Westchester County, for the Community Development Block Grant. The other is with Westchester County as well for the summer day camp reimbursement. That's all for my report. Thank you.
All right, and may I ask you where we are with the dredging permits? So, or is there any change in that?
Yep. So the Army Corps reviewer emailed us on Friday, and today we started preparing some cross sections for her. That was one request that she had. The other requests were simple, minor operational items that she had asked for. So it's moving along, and she continues.
Okay, and I don't want to. I hate, and I should have told you. I was going to ask you this before. I hate to throw you a call, but the last dredging we did was 2011. Am I correct?
That's right.
That was Landy Construction. It was over on Fenimore and on the Sheldrake. Did we have permits for that?
We had a county permit. We didn't have any other permits for it.
Okay, so we just did it.
Yep.
Okay, all right, and that was in 2011.
2011.
All right, great. Thank you. I just wanted to clear that up because I was wondering how in the world this requires so many permits when we did it then, and it wasn't wrapped in red tape. All right. Okay. That's it.
Could you just mention the debate night?
Hang on a second. This is not for the, we got file for the record agreement. Okay, you have all that. Report from the clerk treasurer, please.
Nothing to report, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, report from the village attorney.
Nothing from me, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, minutes for commission boards, committees, minutes for the Board of Trustees, work sessions and regular meetings, September 27th, October 11th, 2022. Minutes of the Arts Council meeting of September 24th, 2022. Minutes of the Board of Ethics meetings of August 9th and September 7th, 2022. Minutes of the Budget Committee meetings of June 7th, August 10th, and September 6th, 2022. And minutes of the Flood Mitigation Advisory Committee meeting of August 23rd, 2022. Also, I want to mention that we are anxious to have new faces on our volunteer boards. As we get set to reorganize, and we are asking people to send their resumes to ctoffice@vomny.org, ctoffice@vomny.org. If you'd like to serve on any of our volunteer boards, which we we lean on rather heavily for advice.
And
And
send a resume with like a note expressing what board you want to be.
yeah,
on.
express what board you're on, or we'll find a board for you. And also, as Glenn shouted from the gallery in violation of everything, that there is a village, a League of Women Voters forum on Wednesday evening with the candidates who are running for trustee for this board. There are 6 candidates and 3 openings, all right? And we hope.
Is it in person or is it on Zoom?
It's on Zoom. I don't know why they're not having it in person, but there's no audience. I don't think it's much fun without an audience, you know, but I don't get it. So, and if you're not having fun, what's the point?
Well, sometimes that's why they call it work.
Anyway, so that'll be a League of Women Voters on 7 o'clock, right? 7 o'clock on Wednesday evening, and we'll see you there. And I guess we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Oh, let me do this.
Yeah, you- Sorry. I hear you.
I apologize for not being here.
You have an